Welcome back to the garage here at Basin Motorsports. So one of the complaints that a lot of people have with the Corvettes is the heat interior and the sound level, especially on the Z06, which is right here on some jack stands. So today we're going to install the kit. This is the Design Engineering Transmission Tunnel Heat Insulation Kit. It is part number 50530 or 050530. Here's what's in the kit. To start with, there is the main piece that goes under the transmission. This runs horizontal. Comes with the holes already punched into it and the backing on it. Now beyond that, there are 4 side pieces that go on the rail, which I'll show you where they go. But you have your 2 pieces here that are lengthwise cut, and then you have some pieces around the corner that have bends in them. The other 2 pieces here that continue to run the length of the car, which I'll show you later. A roller to make sure you wet it out so it has plenty of stickiness to the car. A set of install instructions which are printed in color, and a nice sticker. Now we're going to follow the instructions piece by piece just so I know that I'm doing it correctly from Design Engineering. But the first step is always to get the car safely supported so that you can get underneath. Now, if you don't know how to lift or support your C5 or C6 Corvette, which is what this kit is designed for, I'll put a link up in the corner. That way you know how to lift and support your Corvette before you get started. All right, so step 1 of the instructions is to get the Corvette up on stands safely. So again, I gave you a link up in the corner, but you can see the Corvette is up. Step 2 is to remove this center section of the exhaust. So if I pan around here, you can kind of see the exhaust is laying on the ground. I've got it out and moving around. So on the back of this, there are 2 bolts in each side that go with 15mm sockets. There's some supports there with the springs that are 13mm socket. You have your O2 sensors, which you can take out completely if you like to, or you can just thread them out. Just give them some slack there and take them out. Now, if you do take them out, make sure you have some anti-seize on the threads when you put it back in, just as an FYI. And then up on the transmission, there are, again, 2 fasteners, 2 bolts, 15mm socket. And then on the exhaust, where the center pipe here goes up to the exhaust manifolds, there are 3 15mm socket nuts. Now just be warned that if any of these have a little bit of rust to them, you may want to put on some penetrant oil like WD-40 or AMSOIL penetrant, anything, just to make sure that everything comes off. And then from there, we need to get cleaning. All right, so the big long piece that I showed you that has holes in it goes on the transmission tunnel brace here. Now this is blocks heat. It also adds some support along all these bolts here. Now the other 4 pieces go on the rail here and up on the heat shield, and the rail and the heat shield. So you have total of 5 pieces. The big piece, a side, a side, a side, and a side. So step 3 of the instructions is going to be just to clean this off. You know, you can do it with a spray and a paper towel or anything else. I'm going to first get just some Zep wipes that are a degreasing towel and just wipe everything down. And then I'll come back through with a towel and probably just some glass cleaner or something else to make sure that the surface is completely degreased and in good shape. Now just be careful if you're going to do like I do, where you have your O2 sensors kind of sitting out here. Just make sure you're not going to hit them with anything. And if you're worried about getting any kind of spray or anything else on them, you can just take a Ziploc bag, cover them up, and that way you don't have to worry about contamination on your sensor parts here. Once you have all the surfaces cleaned, you can then start putting on the first piece. Now, the next step in it is to put in this top piece here, which is your main large piece. Now, all these bolt holes aren't going to line up along the top, but when you start to apply this, you're going to start at the front of the car, and you're going to go from the second bolt hole. So you can kind of see in there, you've got the first one here, and here's the second one you're going with. Now you're just going to do a couple inches at a time, so peel the backing off of this off, put on the first couple inches, and then just take off the backing as you need to. As you're doing this, you're going to put it up with your fingers a little bit, and then you can use your roller to really make sure you have it good wet out and to make sure it's sticking very well to the bottom of the car. Again, the holes here aren't exactly going to line up, so just do your best. If you ever need to take this off, you can always cut these out a little bit larger as you need to get to the bolts. But once it's applied on, you can move on to the next piece. All right, so the first of the 4 pieces I'm going to do next is going to be the passenger side front. Now, it does have the curved piece, so when you lay it out, you'll see that it's very long and does come up and bend out. So you do have a curved piece that comes in here. Now to start this, I started at this back tip corner here. Peeled off a little bit, pulled off a little bit of the backing, and then just stuck this tip and started working kind of up and in. Now it will touch up here at the top probably, and that's going to be just fine. Just make sure it's well adhered, and then you can start working the concave in here into this heat shield. You just keep working it all the way forward, and just remember, be careful that you do or do not, depending on what you want to do, you may cover up your O2 sensor as it runs up here and plugs in. So you can go ahead and take that loose, or you can just cover it knowing that if you ever have to replace your O2 sensors, you'll just have to make a slit in this heat shield just to be able to pull the O2 sensor wiring through the heat shield and be able to get it out. Not a big deal, and if you put it under it, well, it's at least protected from heat, so you don't have to worry too much about it. But just take your time. Make sure this curves up in very well, and you can still get to your clips down here on the bottom. So just kind of pull it back a little bit, give yourself a little bit of room for the clip to go in, and then you can move over to the opposite side and then start your backs. All right, the last 2 pieces are now going to be your side rear pieces. So these are going to be up here on the sides. Now you're going to start these at the rear. So if I show you kind of up here at the back, you'll have a corner right here at the bottom, and I would start them there, take off about inch or 2 towards the end, align it here to make sure it's aligned to the bottom edge, curves up in, it's not going to stick past the flanges or the body, and then just do it a couple inches at a time, making sure that it doesn't stick past this bottom edge, and then you can just take it all the way down until it tucks behind where your O2 sensor goes in the clip. Now an easy tip on this, once you get down to about the last 3 or 4 inches, tuck the insulator in behind the clip prior to taking off the backing. If you take the backing off and then try to tuck it, it really wants to adhere itself in and it kind of bunches up. So before you take the backing off, slide it in, pull this heat shield out, tuck the insulator in, then pull the backing off, and that way when you take it off, you can adhere it right down and it won't bunch up. Just an easier way to do it. Otherwise, it just gets kind of messy trying to get it all bunched and tucked in there when it's trying to stick. All right, and there's how it should all look when it's all together. You can kind of see both sides of the channel where the transmission tunnel goes. You have the main shield on the bottom, so now you can reflect out as much heat as possible. So at this point, you just need to push your exhaust mid-pipe back on. Remember to start at the engine, put the gaskets in the mid-pipe, get them connected up to the exhaust manifolds, hand start your 3 fasteners just to make sure it stays connected, and then you can raise the rear of the exhaust. Use the 2 supports along the way at the transmission and at the very back, and then you can connect your tailpipes last. That way it'll be nice and easy and go together very, very well. Now this is supposed to reflect a lot of the heat, and I don't have measurements prior to. I bought my car late in the year and never had to experience the heat, but where I live, we do get 100+ degrees, and this C5 is black, so it is going to be nice and hot in the summer, and hopefully this will reflect some of that heat out of the cabin. So if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Hopefully you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when I release out new videos. And if you need anything for your C5 or C6, well, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.